this is who I am. This is what I do. This is how I do it. This is who I do it for. These are the results that I get for those people, right? So you've got to be able to build a message around that.
Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I have a guest on. It's Oriana, and she is located in Florida, and I really liked what she had to say about business coaching and helping people get off to a great start and how to run their business. So welcome to the show, Oriana.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Awesome. So Oriana, tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so my background is in human resources and higher education administration. I spent about 15 years in HR, about 13 in higher ed specifically, and doing a lot of work with employee relations, recruitment, retention, diversity and inclusion and gender equity work, things like that. And more recently, in the last about 3 years, I started my own coaching and consulting firm, where I work with people who are starting small businesses, particularly individuals in the knowledge and service industry. So the product, right, that they sell is their knowledge, right? That's their service. They're going into consulting. They're going into coaching. They're going into different types of fields where it's their expertise is the thing, right? It's what they're bringing forward into the world. So. That's where my passion lies, is in supporting those early entrepreneurs in knowledge and service industry.
And I think it's a very open field, because there are a lot of people that I come across that are very knowledgeable in what they do. They have the ability to be a consultant, but they just don't know how to do it as a business.
Right.
There's so much about it that they just don't know how to do or know how to figure out. So I think that's a great service.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your business, kind of, what area are you in, or what part of Florida are you in, and kind of where are your clients choosing?
So I'm in Central Florida, Orlando specifically, but my clients, because I work with them virtually, they can be located anywhere. So I have some clients that are off the west coast of Florida. I've worked with clients in North Florida. I even worked with somebody one time that was traveling around the country and was spending some time in Hawaii during the time that her and I were working together. So one of the great things about the opportunity to work with people virtually is that they can be located anywhere in the world. And then it also gives me the opportunity to connect with people who are have access to different audiences because of their physical location. In different areas of the nation, or the planet.
So what types of services do you offer in your business?
Yeah, so I have one-on-one coaching programs, as well as a group coaching program, a small group coaching program called Small Business Big Impact. So supporting people to go through like a 12-week curriculum, where they will really start with the most foundational mindset training on how to become an entrepreneur. Because what I've seen is I guess a trend, if you will, of people exiting the corporate space and wanting to start their own business in a service or knowledge-based role. Or they are doing this like on the side, right? They're staying employed full time, but they want to do something else on the side that they're passionate about in a service or knowledge base. So I support them to like go through this program. We start with foundational mindset training all the way through like identifying your ideal target client market, identifying your messaging, right? And clarifying your messaging, who you're talking to, what you're saying to them, connecting to what their pain points are, and really speaking into that problem with support, with empathy, and really bringing value and solutions to the table. It's I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, is creating value.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes down to helping people with their messaging, do you usually find that people have a common struggle or like a common concern or challenge with trying to be able to clarify that?
I do, yeah. There's a few things that are like the common challenges that come up for people. I would say number one, when people are, they get attached to what they want to offer to the service that they want to offer before they identify who they want to offer it to. And so sometimes there's a little bit of a disconnect there, because the key is really to find a niche that needs a solution to the problem, right, that you solve. Mm-hmm. So when you can clearly identify that niche, it gets so much easier to talk to them, to talk to those people, and for them to hear you, right, that you're a purveyor of a solution to a pain point that they have. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of times what we have to do is actually go out there and do the research, right? Find those people, talk to them, find out what they care about and what's important and what they perceive as their pain points. And for a lot of people, it's a little bit of a struggle there. So, kind of like getting seen in that space. There's a little bit of resistance. So we work through that because that's a mindset thing.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Now, when you mentioned about starting off with kind of the mindset and the program, I mean, what are some of the other mindset challenges that people have to work through that you see hey, when they work through these things, they can start to see their productivity and results go up?
Okay, gosh, that's a really good question. I think one of the number one mindset challenges has to do with seeing yourself in the role and the identity of the person that brings a solution to this particular problem that you have the expertise to solve. So let's just say, for example, when I worked in higher education administration, my professional identity was connected to what I did for a living. Right? For most people, we have this professional identity and a personal identity. We connect that to the different aspects associated with how we show up in the world. So the world gave you this title, right? Like the director of whatever at whatever company it is where you're employed. So for the new entrepreneur, it requires a shift. There's two shifts in identity that you must make if you're going to be successful. For the person now that provides the solution to this problem, right? I am an expert in X and I do X for Y, right? Like this is who I am. This is what I do. This is how I do it. This is who I do it for. These are the results that I get for those people, right? So you've got to be able to build a message around that, but it's really hard to build a message around that if you don't see yourself as that person and if you don't embody that identity. When we don't embody that identity, or when we struggle to embody that identity, because we've operated in most of our life through in the lens of the identity that our career gave to us, and many times in the identity of an employee, which is very different than the identity and the mindset shift necessary for an entrepreneur. So when that happens, then when we go to actually show up in the world, hey, this is me now, this is what I do, we get shy, right? And we're no, I'm scared. People aren't going to believe that I'm capable of this. And we start to build up self-doubt in our mind about whether or not can I really show up in the world as, an entrepreneur, a small business owner who provides this service for these people and be taken seriously, be successful, right? But that only happens when we still live in the prior and the past identity. That's the only time that we become shakeable about our ability to move forward in the new identity, right? And sometimes there are things that happen in the world that push back on that. For example, when all of your friends and your professional colleagues and everyone that knows you only saw you in the identity of, let's say, a nurse, but what do you mean you're a business coach? What do you mean you're doing consulting? What? You're a nurse, right? So people, it's going to take time for them to see you in the new role that you're stepping into. But I will tell you, they'll never see you in that new role if you never see you in that new role.
Wow. I think that is very good, because that's even one of those things that I've even had a challenge with myself, even in doing this show. I think even, I've been doing this show for 2 years now. And even I would say probably up until a year in, I really actually saw myself as a host of a successful show. Yeah. And I will say it's been a lot smoother as I kind of made that mindset change that you talked about, because the first year, there was a lot of struggle of trying to push out the content, but I think as I made that mental shift that you're talking about, it definitely saw things flow a lot more. And the show is actually adding a lot more value to the audience because I'm not so consumed by my own insecurity.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you said that. That was a super vulnerable and important share. And so I want to thank you for that, because that is so key. Like until we see ourselves that way, like our energy holds some degree of like self-doubt and even insecurity, like you said, right? And so when we communicate with other people about our business or like about, your show, about whatever it is, this great new endeavor that we're doing, we could be very passionate about it and really believe in it. But people feel, it's totally subconscious. Like people can feel that there's like I don't know, like that we're shaky, that we're not totally convinced of what we're saying, that we have self-doubt, and they can't even necessarily like put their finger on it or articulate what it is that they felt. They just know they felt some kind of disconnect, right? So they might be supportive and like, yeah, go ahead and do it. But if they feel that we are like uncertain in any way about the value that we bring to the table and why or how what we're offering them is worth their investment of resources, they won't be willing to invest. They might not even know why, right? They might just be able to say, well, it sounds good, but it's not for me right now.
Gotcha.
So
And I
it's
think that
fascinating.
I think that is a very fascinating thing because that's not something you really hear a lot of people talk about when it comes down to entrepreneurship. Most people think, oh, that's in the self-help sector, or you go to a therapist for stuff like that. It's like those are very real things that impact you as a entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
really stop you. I mean, if you don't figure out a solution for those, they really do stop you from being effective in whether it's starting, running, or growing your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to me in my world, and as far as like what I teach my clients, but also like what I learned from working with some of the best business coaches, I believe some of the best business coaches that I could have possibly chosen to work with. Like I invested my time and resources and money to get that training because I value that so much. But I've always heard a consistent message in that, which is that mindset is 80%. Mindset is 80% of our success in entrepreneurship, in career, in relationships, really in every space in our lives, because our biggest deterrent to progressing towards our goals is always going to be ourself, and if there's any doubt about that, like spend even a day, right? Maybe a week, but even a day, just kind of taking an inventory and really listening very closely to your self-talk, right? Your self-talk about what you're doing throughout your day, how you're doing it, your self-talk about your perception of what other people are going to think or say about what you do or how you do it, right? Sometimes we are really like, our self-talk is really negative, and we say things to ourselves that we would never say to another person. Like we'd never direct that stuff to another person, right? And so, or if somebody else spoke to us the way that we speak to ourselves in our self-talk, we would be appalled, right? Like we would never talk to them again. We would be like, oh my gosh, you're so mean, get out of my life. But we do that to ourselves all of the time. So when we can make those mindset shifts, when we can change those belief systems, address the limiting beliefs that keep us in a place where we engage in like essentially knocking ourselves down through our own self-talk and through the generation of feelings like self-doubt, then gosh, like you can go like 0 to 60 in a very
Wow.
short period of time.
Wow.
In a really short period
So
of time. Yeah.
how can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you and hire you for your services?
Thank you for asking. So I have a website. My website is coachoriana.com. I'm also on social media, so you can find me pretty much any social media platform at Coach Oriana as well, is the handle across the board. My number, 407-256-4045. So I welcome people to contact me. I do offer complimentary consultations where we'll talk about you, your business, your concerns, I also have a heavy focus on relationships and in the relationship space and building conscious relationships. And I do that work with couples and singles. But I also do the work relevant to relationships in like within the business context as it relates to building business partnerships, right? Like building relationship capital within the business space is a super important skill to develop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to speak with anybody, and like I said, I offer a complimentary consultation. If in our consultation I don't think I'm the best coach for you, I will tell the person, I'll let them know, I'll give a referral if I have one. But conversely, if I do think that we're a match, both in skill set, knowledge, and an energetic match as a potential client coach relationship, I'll tell a person that too, and I'll invite them into an opportunity to engage further and to go deeper if that's what they want. So
awesome. So before we wrap up, one question I like to ask is, what's one or two pieces of wisdom that you would share with us? Now, you've already shared a ton of wisdom with us.
Oh, thank you.
So maybe what's one more piece of wisdom or tip that you would share with entrepreneurs to be successful?
Yeah, one more tip. I would say, go all in, right? Go all in like when you make the decision, if you're even 50%, if you have 50% clarity about what you want to do, then go all in on figuring out the other 50%, right? Don't skim on that. Don't go halfway and just, if you're 50% there, go all in to figure out the other 50% to determine whether or not like you have a good business idea. Do you have something that can actually sell? Are there people out there that would buy your product, right? Like go all in on doing the market research. Otherwise, you'll always stay shaky on your foundation about whether or not what you want to pursue as an entrepreneur is a good idea and can actually support you to make a living. So, if you go all in, you're going to get one of two answers, yes or no, right? And then further, if the answer is yes, you're going to get more information on how. If the answer is no, you're going to get another idea is going to come to you, right? So you can't lose on going all in.
Awesome. Well, Oriana, thank you so much for taking time to be on the show. And thank you for sharing so much wisdom. We'll definitely share the link so people can find you on social media, your website, and people can reach out to you to hire you for your services.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. And it was my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me on the show. This was fun.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.